Okay. How do you feel about Manny Pacquiao saying that his footwork and his hand speed are his keys to victory?
Oh, I don't feel nothing. I don't feel nothing about it. I mean, he can say what he wants. That's how he feel. I mean, he doesn't switch anything up. He do the same thing. So I'm gonna expect the same Manny Pacquiao that that we get every time, and you know, he gonna come to fight, and I'm definitely gonna come to fight, and I'll be a lot stronger and physically better than my previous fight. So if he's looking at that, he should be looking at the Chris Algieri Lamont and Kell Brook fight, not them fights to find something. Because he's looking at the last fight thinking he's not the weakness, then he's gonna be in trouble.
What's good, family? So mash the like button and subscribe. So, Errol Spence has put the ether on Manny Pacquiao, and he's promised to knock Pacquiao all the way smoothly into retirement. He said the following: I'm preparing to get my body into training camp mode and do the best that I can to get into the best shape I can and be as strong as I can to knock Manny Pacquiao spark out and send him off into retirement. So there you go. There's the quotes there from the smoky. It's the smokiest Errol Spence, Errol Garner Spence. Now, listen, Pacquiao is old, as you like, too old. But Pacquiao is a special, once-in-a-generation fighter. Pacquiao ain't no Mayweather. Now, Mayweather, after fighting Logan Paul, he couldn't help himself but try and put some jabs out there. He said, oh yeah, well, the thing is, I'm fighting YouTubers for fun, but the reason Pacquiao's fighting is because he needs the money. Well, that doesn't really line up, because I'm pretty sure Pacquiao, yes, he's not as big of a commodity as Mayweather, but I'm pretty sure Pacquiao could fight Logan Paul, Jake Paul for 5-10 million. If Floyd Mayweather's making 50 to 100 million, as he alleges he is, I don't think he is, but if he was 50 to 100, yeah, then Pacquiao must be able to make 10, 20. So we know Pacquiao's had the Conor McGregor fight. There's another. That there. Think about it. If Floyd Mayweather and McGregor did 3 million buys, 5 million buys, McGregor and Pacquiao would do 1.5, 2. There's 50 to 70 million. So this whole notion that, Pacquiao is doing it for the money and Pacquiao's kind of forced into a corner is a lie, in my opinion. Pacquiao could have fought McGregor. Pacquiao could have fought all these goofy YouTubers. No. What Pacquiao is a once-in-a-generation fighter. Mentality-wise. Is he as skillful as Floyd? Obviously not. He lost the fight. But mentality, this isn't about the money for Pacquiao, I don't believe. If it was, he could have retired and fought all these same people Floyd's fighting. Floyd has to say that to make himself feel better. Floyd's got a weak ego. He must feel like a big man all the time. He can't possibly be the weak man. Well, I'm sorry, Floyd. Pacquiao has sunned you. Pacquiao has emasculated you on this one. Yeah? He's punked you here. Because Pacquiao's handling the work which you refuse to work. Spence filled you in sparring. Spence, it's funny, Spence talks about sending Pacquiao off into retirement, but guess what? Spence sparring session literally did send Floyd off into retirement. That was one of the last heavy sparring sessions Floyd had. Don't forget that. At the end of Floyd's career, Floyd brought Errol Spence in, and that was one of the last times Floyd had proper work from new, fresh, up-and-coming sparring partners. Ever since then, ever since Floyd Mayweather kicked Errol Spence out of the gym, he never brought in new talent again. No joke. Errol Spence was one of the last ones, the last new, fresh, up-and-coming talent Floyd dared to bring in. Ever since then, after Errol Spence gave him the work in sparring, Floyd was bringing in the standard people. The people he always knocks about. You know what I mean? Like Jay Leon Love, all them kind of dons there. That's what happened, no joke. For many years, Floyd would bring in the up-and-coming juniors. And then, when it got to Errol Spence, that was the last time. Ever since the Errol Spence camp, Floyd just brought in Jay Leon Love and all them ones there. the people who have left had their best days in the doghouse gym. Yeah? The best fights from Jalen Love have been in Floyd Mayweather's sparring gym. That's what Floyd Mayweather did. Floyd Mayweather's like a leech. He sucked the life force out of all of these fighters. Took all their best days in his gym for his own benefit and left them doing whatever they're doing. But anyway, I've digressed. The point is, Floyd, you got whooped by Errol Spence in sparring and kicked him out of your gym and then felt embarrassed and let him back. But you didn't let him back to spar again. You didn't want to spar Errol Spence again. Yeah? Manny Pacquiao, never mind sparring with big bubbly gloves on and big bubbly headgear on. Manny Pacquiao is doing it for real. Now you can lie to yourself and deny and try and kid yourself that, oh well, no, Pacquiao isn't really doing it, but actually it's because he needs the money. He doesn't need the money. Listen, Floyd, you're lying to yourself. No doubt. Pacquiao don't need the money in that sense. He could be doing what you're doing. He's not. Which proves it's all about the pureness of the sport. That's why Manny Pacquiao was doing it. Now, as that relates back to this Errol Spence fight, guess what? Guess what that means? That means Manny Pacquiao ain't playing. Don't get me wrong, Floyd is right to an extent in as much as if a fighter is desperate for money, then yeah, it's kind of questionable what they're doing in the ring. Is he serious? Is he trying to win? We don't know. Pacquiao, he ain't doing it for the money, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, he wants a big fight, but look, Pacquiao fought Furman. That wasn't a big blockbuster fight. He could have fought, again, Conor McGregor. A load of other people he could have fought if he wanted a payday. No, Pacquiao wants the success, I believe. That's what his resume is saying. Furman wasn't a massive name. He fought him anyway. Do you understand? That there is the principle of fighting. Just because you're all about money, Floyd, doesn't mean Pacquiao is. And besides, again, if it was all about money, why didn't Pacquiao lose to Furman? If Pacquiao was just turning up to lose, why didn't he lose to Furman? He whooped Furman. He whooped the younger man. Which tells me, if you needed any more knowledge or any more notification, Pacquiao is not turning up to roll over or just take a payday. He's turning up to win, which is why he beat Furman. Pacquiao's looked dangerous. Beat Adrian Broner. He's beat a lot of the top people, to be fair. He whooped Furman as well, actually, thinking about it. Now, that was a few years ago now, but still. He's got the intent. And I believe, remember, it's Southpaw versus Southpaw. Errol Spence has got away a lot of his career fighting orthodox fighters. And actually, one of the times he was exposed was against a Southpaw. Pacquiao's got the combinations, got the speed. Errol Spence a little flat-footed. It's going to be interesting. We saw how Errol Spence dealt with Sean Porter's speed and aggressiveness. He didn't really like it too much. If Pacquiao can put that speed together, we don't know how sharp Errol Spence's defense really is. Let's see. So Errol Spence says he's going to whoop Pacquiao into retirement. Let's see. Let's see how he does that. It's an interesting fight, though, because I don't believe what Floyd says. I don't buy into that whole thing of, he's doing it for no. If Pacquiao wanted money, he'd have been taking fights and taking a dive. Not everyone's like you, Floyd. Not everyone's all about the money. He's about the principle and wanting to win. And it's not like he hasn't done it before. Yeah? Not many people gave him a chance against Keith Thurman. Look what happened there. Now, I will admit, Errol Spence is a lot more sturdy than Thurman. But are we only saying that now? There was a period of time, Thurman and Spence, it was 50-50, wasn't it? Really? There was a period of time, Thurman was the unified champion, and it was kind of like half of one, six of another. Sorry, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. There was 2 sets of fans. Thurman's now gone off the rails. He got filled in, fell in love, got filled in, and has not been seen from since. But Pacquiao's consistent. So, listen. If Errol Spence stops Pacquiao, I mean, Errol Spence, you couldn't stop Danny Garcia. Now, you mentioned these names of, Lamont Peterson. Who was he? Kell Brook. Yeah, Kell Brook was alright, but Kell Brook was already... You didn't really break Kell Brook. Yes, you hurt his eye, but his eye was already broken. His face was already weak. His head structure was already compromised. Yeah? I don't know what your point is. All them names you've mentioned... let's not forget as well, by the way. Kell Brook was boxing your head off for 7 rounds. Now, it's not an excuse, but he was. Kell Brook on my cards, not being biased, but Kell Brook on my cards won the first 6 or 7 out of 7 rounds. I'll be generous. Kell Brook won the first 6 out of 7 rounds, making you look silly, and then his wheels fell off because he went up to weight and whatever else. But I'm not making excuses for Kell, but that's the truth. You was getting schooled by Kell Brook. Let's not make out, and we've seen how finished Kell Brook is now, and we don't really know how finished he was when he fought you, because look at how he was against Terence Crawford. Absolutely shot to bits. Was it you that did that, or was it Golovkin? More likely it was Golovkin, because to be fair, Kell Brook was amazing until he fought Golovkin. That's where it went all downhill. He wasn't amazing until he fought you, if that makes sense. It was the Golovkin fight that was pivotal, which means that you didn't fight the real Kell Brook. And still, you got whooped for 7 rounds. So how good are you? You mention all these names that you've stopped, but you couldn't stop Danny Garcia. Now, Danny Garcia is a top flight opponent, but I'll put this to you. Danny Garcia got beat handedly by Keith Thurman. Now, I know boxing triangles don't really work, but guess what? Keith Thurman got mauled by Pacquiao. So in terms of the boxing triangles, you're looking kind of bad right now. Now, you did whoop Garcia, but you weren't... Pacquiao put Thurman down. You didn't put Danny Garcia down. Again, to be fair, Danny Garcia weren't really letting his hands go. Although, in that last round, or last 2 rounds, Danny Garcia started kind of biting down and letting his hands go. He started coming on. Again, the typical theme here with Errol Spence is he don't like pressure. Yeah? He don't really like the pressure. He don't like having it stuck on him. He likes to be the bully, which we know that's how all fighters are. Look at Golovkin. Golovkin, great at coming forward. Canelo backs him up in the second fight. He don't really like it anymore. Errol Spence, big bully. Sean Porter backs him up. He don't really like it. You understand? Pacquiao might be older, but he wants it. He ain't coming to... like. Errol Spence is getting in Floyd's head. I mean, Floyd's getting in Errol Spence saying, or Floyd I hope Floyd doesn't get into Errol's head and have him, he's coming for the payday, because you might end up shocked that Pacquiao's there to win. Because guess what? Keith Thurman ended up shocked, ended up put down, ended up leaking. Manny Pacquiao left him leaking. Pacquiao ain't playing no games. A man of his age can be dangerous in as much as, what business does a man of his age have with you in the ring? Meaning, what does he know that you don't? Exactly the same as the Keith Thurman fight. In my mind, at least. This ain't no joke thing. This ain't no, I'm going to send him off into retirement. If you do, fair play to you. But you might end up with more than a handful. There's a reason, Floyd Mayweather's reaching out saying, Errol Spence, come and train with me. I'm going to show you some things. Why is Floyd so nervous for? Floyd doesn't want to look bad, that's why. Because if Manny Pacquiao beat Spence, that would undermine Floyd's legacy massively. Because Manny Pacquiao would have done something Floyd never did, and that would be beat this era's generation. Floyd's never done that. Floyd never beat the best of this era. And Floyd doesn't want that. Floyd doesn't want his legacy to be undermined by Pacquiao. And I think it'd be great for that. I think it'd be great for Pacquiao to beat Spence, to be fair. The same way he beat Thurman. And that's already undermined Floyd to an extent. Because Floyd didn't want to fight Thurman, did he? Let's call a spade here. Seeing what Pacquiao did to Thurman, I think Floyd would have schooled Thurman. But the point is, he didn't want the Thurman fight. Thurman was calling for that fight for years. Floyd didn't want it. Floyd was fighting who? I don't know, Andre Berto. It's just complete bums. And the champions, Floyd didn't want no parts of them. Pacquiao beat the people, or beat and is fighting the people Floyd Mayweather didn't want no parts of. So yeah, let's see what Errol Spence does. He's giving it the smoky talk. Let's see if he follows through with it, because you weren't following through with it when it was Danny Garcia. Yeah, same as Mikey Garcia. You weren't digging like you say you was, and that really does question Errol Spence. When Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia. Now, admittedly, Mikey Garcia wasn't throwing back. Neither was Danny Garcia, really. But the facts are the facts. We know categorically Errol Spence does not have, a prime Errol Spence does not have armor-piercing rounds. Even Sean Porter. Yes, he put Sean Porter down, but that wasn't through the guard. He's got caught being sloppy. Clean. Armor-piercing rounds are when you hit someone and they've got their guard up and they still go down. Errol Spence doesn't have that. Because when he fought Mikey Garcia, who was a 135er, guess what? Errol Spence couldn't hurt him or put him down. When he fought Danny Garcia, couldn't hurt him, couldn't put him down. So how powerful is Errol Spence when he can't hurt a 135er who's there to be hit? Mikey Garcia wasn't elusive and dancing around. Mikey Garcia doesn't have the footwork of Manny Pacquiao, doesn't have the hand speed of Manny Pacquiao, doesn't have the offense of Manny Pacquiao. He couldn't do nothing. So in my mind, Manny Pacquiao being bigger than Mikey Garcia, quicker feet as well. Mikey Garcia can survive with Errol Spence. So can Manny Pacquiao. However, it's kind of different fighters. It just depends how much Manny lets his hands go. Because if he lets his hands go and then lets a crack in the armor, he may get caught. So, yeah, it's complex. But then again, I think Pacquiao's chin's pretty sturdy. Thurman didn't put him down. Yeah, Mr. One Time. Let's see. I'm all for it. And I really do respect Pacquiao. I'd love Pacquiao to win. I'd love Pacquiao to beat Spence. I really would. That would be great for history.